here we go. Let's come and shake our sillies out. So just give your legs a shake, give your arms a little shake, give it all a little shake. And drop your head and wind your head and wind your shoulders one direction and then the other. Just unwind. Ooh, and then take some big circles with your hips so we can mobilize that lower back. Start to unwind a little bit of that stiffness in the back and in the hips, one direction and then the other, like so. And then just give yourself a big swish, bend the knees, stretch the hands out. Imagine you are in beautiful tropical water and the sun is sparkling on the water and you're just swishing your hands around in the waves, big swishes, and then start to breathe a little bit more deeply as you pull the breath into the lungs and press the breath out of the lungs, and then take your hands and just give the top of your back a little tap so we get the mobility up a little bit higher on the spine. That's it. And then we're just going to do some Elvis twists. So weights on one leg, you are drawing the leg inward, and then see if you can shuffle the hands. So you're doing that kind of 50s jive, and we'll go across to the other side. So if anyone comes in the room, they'll be like, what are you doing? It just looks like yoga. You say you're in your body with your breath, and that's yoga. So just shake it all out. See if you can balance or hold onto the wall, and just give your foot a shake and roll the ankle around, and then roll the knee around like so, and then do that on the other side. So lift up through the crown to balance. Make sure your ankle gets a good whirl, and then your knee gets a good whirl. Good. Shake your bum. I'm going to come down onto the ground. So I will take a blanket underneath the sitting bones. So of course we do this all the time now. So when I say an anterior tilt, it means we're getting a slight rotation forward through the pelvis. We're avoiding sitting on our tail. That's a posterior tilt. When we're sitting watching TV and we're all scrunched and rounded, we don't want that. We want to instead tilt the pelvis ever so slightly forward so that we can lift up out of the waist. And when I say lift up out of the waist, what I'm looking for is a sensation of pulling the vertebra out from each other and lengthening up. So I like to imagine you have a string that's attached to the top of your head, right to the crown here, and it's winched up towards the ceiling. So as that lengthens up towards the ceiling, you kind of feel like you're pulling up. Pelvis is pushing down, but you are pulling right up, creating space between the rib cage and the hips here. So lengthening the side waist. And then same thing, but imagine you have a string at the ridge of the back of your head, and that's also lengthening you up. So we feel as if we're like a puppet, being pulled up towards the ceiling by our strings, and yet let the body, let the shoulders in particular, just kind of soften away from those strings. And then give your hips a little wiggle from side to side and roll yourself around. If it's uncomfortable sitting like this, prop yourself up further, so take more height underneath your sitting bones. If you need to take a blanket underneath your ankle, if the feet don't like to be squashed like that, just put some blankets underneath your ankles so there's more space for your feet. We can always put pillows underneath our knees as well. So just prop yourself as much as you need to be comfortable here so that we can get sitting bones, the bones that we sit on, planted into the ground, pubic bone kind of dropping down towards the ground, but your tailbone at the bottom of your spine is lifted here. Fantastic. And then going into that Ujjayi breath, which is, I'm going to call it the beach breath now as opposed to the ocean breath. As Mike pointed out to me, my husband pointed out to me, that actually it's not like you're out in the ocean. It's like when the ocean is sweeping into the beach and then pulling back out of the beach, isn't it? So it's that swishing sound. And we want to imagine that the breath is pouring down into the bottom of our lungs as we breathe in, and then out underneath the armpits into these intercostal muscles, and then up. So it's a 3-part breath, down, middle, and then up. So I like to imagine it as this big bowl that you're filling with water. So as you pour the breath in, it goes down and then out and then up. And if we pull the breath in, pause, and then just let the breath be pressed out of us. So with this slight constriction we have at the back of our throat from drawing the chin in, it makes it easier to get that very beach-like sound, ocean coming into the beach, to our breath. And sometimes it helps just to do a little bit of movement with your hands. So I'm going to pretend I've got an accordion here. So we're pulling the breath down and out, and then pressing the breath out of us. And we want to slow and stretch the breath. So try to create a sort of a beat in your mind where you can even count the breath. And so we're going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So trying to create a slightly longer breath out than the breath in. And please do not worry if at the moment it's maybe 3 or 4 beats in and then 3 or 4 beats out. Over time, you'll find your lung capacity starts to get bigger and you get a much better oxygen exchange, and it's just a lot easier. Everything just becomes a little easier. So keep going with this. Good. You can just drop the hands now and maybe lay them onto your knees. And keep feeling as you breathe in, this lengthening up through your spine, that string pulling you up towards the ceiling. And then as you breathe out, allow your mind just to sink down through the spine, down through the pelvis and into the ground. And then back up again. So it's feeding the inhalation from the exhalation. And then the exhalation is dropping out from the inhalation. That's almost like a bicycle chain, going up your spine, and then dropping down through the pituitary gland, just behind your eyebrows, down, and then hooking up again through the tailbone, breathing in, right up through to the crown of the head and beyond, dropping down through that pituitary gland and down. Maybe you want to add a bit of visualization. It's really nice to add a light. So imagine like a fireball is dropping downwards and then lifting up through the tail, and you can feel and visualize this light. A little ball of fire drawing right up and then feeding into the exhalation. So keep going with that visualization, making the breath as slow and as stretched out as possible, feeding the inhalation from the exhalation and then into the exhalation and then into the inhalation, just like a bicycle chain, up the spine and then down through the front. Just imagine as you descend, you're dropping down through that pituitary gland so that on the descent, the whole body gets a little flush of hormone stimulation from that pituitary gland. This is called circular breathing. So as you exhale, as your visualization drops down through the body, also feeling your shoulders melt, your jaw start to unwind, feeling all the little muscles around your eyes soften. Wonderful. Just open the eyes. We're going to do 3 Brahmahari breaths. So Brahmahari breath is a buzzy beat breath. And this is the coolest, fastest way that I know of going boom, straight into the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you're feeling stressed, you've been on the computer too long, you've been around your classroom if you're teaching too long, or you've been, with the kids all day, and you're wired, a very quick way just to get yourself into the body is to do these buzzy beat breaths. So what you do, and we're going to do the full thing tonight, you put your thumbs into your ears, and then you close your eyes off with your fingers like so. We have a very loose jaw when we do this, so imagine your lower jaw is unwound. You breathe in through the back of your nostrils, so we bring the breath up through the spine, and then as you breathe out, you create a buzzy bee sound, like a humming, like this. So it's a lovely, long, low vibrational sound. And because we're blocked off like this, the sound just buzzes around, cleanses out the brain, and then you just push all of that energy, that flowing low vibrational energy down through your body. It's lovely. So let's try that together. Hopefully your doors are shut. No one can hear you. So we'll just do breathing in, buzzy deep breath out. We'll do that 3 times. You just block off your ears, breathing in. And then just drop your hands down and notice how you feel. So I feel like you just had a little glass of wine. It's just quite nice. You just go, oh, it's good. So 3 breaths, and then you can change your mindset very, very quickly. It's very powerful. So if you need to take your legs out, take your legs out. I'm just going to do a bit of arm release, shoulder release stuff, but do whatever you need to do with your legs so that you're comfortable. Taking your strap or your scarf, whatever you've got, into your hands, and have about an arm length of material between your hands, if that makes sense, and then drop your shoulders down. So you imagine you have an orange between your shoulders, just kind of squeezing it, and then lift your shoulders up, so you're squeezing them around your ears, which is what we do not want, and then drop your shoulders again, right down into their sockets, and then squeeze up again. So in downward facing dog, we don't want this, we want that. Good. And then just give the whole of your upper body a lovely big swirl. So you can feel that bit of movement around the bra strap, that kind of squeeze as you take your shoulders back, and just getting a bit of mobility, one direction and then the other on the ball and socket joint here. Beautiful. Come up, lift your heart center, drop your elbows behind you, and then try to feel like the base of the rib cage is still dropping down. So we're not completely flaring. We've got a little bit of sucking sensation down here as we lift our heart up. And then roll the other way. So tuck your chin in, tummy button comes in, and round your upper back. And then same thing. Up, drop the shoulders, and then exhaling to round. And up, and down. Okay, come back into the center. Just turn yourself around for a twist, pulling back with your back hand on your strap, and then up and around to the other side. Oh, that feels good. And then taking your right arm up like so, and your left hand down just to laterally stretch. Breathing underneath the armpit. See if you can draw your elbow back slightly. Now, as we come up and over to the other side, we do it with an exhale to protect our lower back. So a deliberate exhale, tummy button to spine. Protecting lower back as we come up and over. Shoulder away from ear. Good, and then coming into the center, exhaling, leaving that top arm up here. Now just drop your elbow down behind your head. So you're holding onto your strap, dropping the elbow behind your head. Try to push the back of your head into your elbow here. Take your other arm, turn the palm, and roll downwards with your shoulder, and see if you can grab your strap behind you. And then just inch your fingertips up the strap, as close as you can get them together. You might even touch your fingers. So just walk your fingers up the strap. Now pull your elbows back slightly, and then drop your whole shoulder girdle down your back, and just notice whether your ribs want to flare up to give you that'll give you compression in the mid back. So see if you can still drop the base of the rib cage down. It's a little bit similar to when we're standing in good alignment. We want to create that space so that we are not scrunching, not hyper flaring. Space for us to breathe. Elbows back. Give your jaw a wriggle. Maybe a yawn. Like so. Good. and then swapping sides. So grabbing the strap into the other hand, dropping the elbow behind you, arm out, turning the hand, grabbing hold of your strap, walking your fingers up, elbows back, and you'll probably find that one arm or one area around the shoulders tighter than the other. Elbows back, shoulders nice and relaxed. Let's take a deep breath in. And then sigh the breath out. And again, deep breath in. And sigh the breath out. Good. Let's do an Om for this last one. So breathing in. Very good. And then slowly taking that strap out. Take your legs out. Roll your ankles one direction and then the other. Low vibrational sound is the bomb. It's so quick to take us into that calm parasympathetic state. So what it does is it actually stimulates the vagus nerve. So we only stimulate the vagus nerve on an exhale. So the longer we can make the exhalation, the more stimulated the vagus nerve gets. The more stimulated the vagus nerve gets, the more we are just chilled, the more we're in our body and not in our head. So this would be a good thing to teach our teenagers, wouldn't it? Let's pull our feet back through the balls of the feet, not through the arches of the feet. So pull the balls of the feet back. Now, see if you can create a perfect L shape with your body. So I'm turn around sideways, like so. So try not to be like so. I would rather your knees were slightly bent. You can either slide a cushion underneath your knees, and you were nice and straight through here, so that we're using all of our corsatory muscles. We're lifting the ribcage away from the pelvis here. We're not flaring, which is we're nice straight back, and our head is sitting bang on top of our neck. So try to create as much of a L shape as possible. Elbows into the side, like we're doing a tricep dip, and we're literally going to wind from the hip joint. So ball and socket joint of the legs coming to the pelvis. Imagine you're just kind of rolling over with the top of your leg. You're just rolling into the pelvis where you've got that sort of cup shape where the femur goes into the pelvis. So rather than rolling forward through your lower back here, see, and it doesn't matter if you come forward by 1 millimeter, it doesn't matter, but we just want to get a little lengthening forward and stop as soon as you find you're going into your hamstring stretch. And then draw your elbows back and squeeze the orange between your shoulders. So we activate the rhomboids, the muscles between our shoulders here. Crown of the head is lifting, base of the ribcage is coming in, so corsatory switched on, toes are being pulled back, elbows are in, and it's like you're about to do a rowing motion. So we just pulled, and then we can just release it, and then exhaling, pull forward, but we're rolling from here. We're not pulling, not really pulling with our arms. It's more movement through the legs, pausing as soon as we feel that hamstring, waking up, and then releasing it again, and again, pulling forward. So just a note while we're here, when we're doing tricep dips, so when we're in a plank position, this is what I want you to do as opposed to that, because you can see as soon as your elbows go out to the sides, what happens around my shoulders here. But if I keep them tucked in, there's lots of space. So just a note for later. Good, and then slide your legs wider on your strap. So we're coming to a bit more of a V shape here. Still drawing back through the balls of the feet, like so, and still lengthening up through the crown of the head. And then again, just see if you can tilt forward a tiny bit from here. So you're winding forward through the hip joint, like so. And then imagine that your torso is a spoon and you're kind of stirring the spoon in a big bowl. So you're stirring your spine, if you like, around your pelvic bowl. Imagine that. So do little circles here, mobilizing into the hip joint, and then the other direction, getting those hamstrings to wake up. It doesn't matter if your knees are bent. You can always put something underneath your knees, but we're just going to try and keep the torso pretty straight here. Beautiful. And then let's just take that to the side for the moment, and imagine you've got an actual spoon in your hands and stirring a bit more, and the other direction. So we're waking up those hamstrings, waking up the inner thigh muscles. We're also massaging into the uterus. This is a really, really nice thing to do if you're feeling a bit crampy. If your period's due, you're feeling a bit, ugh, this is a really nice thing to do. All right, so take your foot in towards your groin here. Turn over your bent knees so we immediately get that stretch through the inner thighs. Send the hand down towards you. We're going to do the shoulder first. So like this, like that. Fingertips on your shoulders. Drop your shoulder down and then inhale and draw your shoulder up. So you squeeze the upper back and then drop down and then breathe in to squeeze the upper back. So you just do a bit of an exaggerated movement. It's a little bit like that one that we do on our sides, elbow back. Get that mobility through the upper back. And this time, unfurl the arms upwards. Do a couple of little stretches and then stretch to your maximum. So we've got a big fanning of our ribs here and we're breathing into those intercostal muscles between the ribs. So send your breath here, send your breath into the back of your lungs and then just tilt up and over a tiny bit and maybe a tiny bit more. Imagine there's a glass wall behind you and just kind of sliding your arm along the glass wall. Just mobilize your head. A little bit of movement here. Now take that top arm, stretch it, push it down onto the ground, go into the heel of the hand here. So push it down onto the ground, point your toes, swish your right hand forward, lengthening up, stretching the whole sideline of the body. So we've thrown that discus, we're stretching out. We're like a mermaid on a rock, waving to those sailors. And you want to create a lot of weight through the heel of your hands. So we're using those bones. We're getting a bit of compression here. Good. Look down towards the ground. See if you can take your top arm slightly behind you to stretch also into these chest muscles. Breathing in and then as you exhale, sliding your weight down. Now, bend your knees to the side in a zigzag. Just notice what's going on with your hips. And I want you to focus on your right gluteal muscles, your right bottom. And you squeeze it. And as you squeeze it, you let your hip roll forward. And then you release it. So we squeeze and we roll forward and we release, which is what we're doing when we do that Elvis twist, and I get you to draw inwards with your knee, we are adducting. So we're going inwards in order to mobilize the psoas muscles here. And also because so many of us, when we stand, we have our feet slightly out. And so we actually have this constant external rotation of the hips. And so we often get quite tight, quite sort of locked into that position. So we're just doing the opposite here. Unwinding tensions from the hips. And also just making sure those glute muscles know how to activate. We can actually just go glutes activate, not just the front of the legs. Glutes please, like that. And then keep lengthen forward. So keep that rolling forward motion. Press down through the top of the knee. Turn yourself over your bent knee. So we get a bit of a twist here. Now see if you can lift up your back foot. So we get even more of that internal rotation. Take the palm of your hand and kind of slap it onto the back of your foot. So you're not grabbing the front of your foot, you're taking it onto the back of your foot. Now see if you can stretch your arm so it's quite lengthened, not bending it like that. And then again, turn your head so you're looking over your shoulder. We're trying to stop the foot dropping back with our arm, with our hand. At the same time, we are actually trying to push our foot back a tiny bit. So we create quite a deep stretch right into this meridian that comes all the way up through the arm and into the pectoral muscles, into this is called the lung 1 meridian, this is the heart meridian. So we are lengthening, getting that wonderful, slightly nervy twist. That's it. And then come down. Now this is where we're going to need our blocks. I'm going to do even more into the hips here. I'm going to get you to lie down on your side, so slide yourself down. Keep this front knee forward at about a 90-degree angle. Take your brick or your pillow, whatever you got, and place it underneath your knee, your back knee here. So lie down on the side, like so. Front knee about 90 degrees to the body. Back knee supported, lifted up a little bit off the ground. And your knee is about in line with your pubic bone. Now we're going to internally rotate again. So we're going to draw the hip inwards. So the knee is on the block and it's putting a bit of pressure through that block. And then lifting the foot off the ground like that. internal rotation. Now I want you to feel as if you're kind of sucking up through the urethra, the front of your pelvic floor. So you kind of imagining you're stopping yourself weeing and then you're drawing upwards. So do some little sippy breaths out, like a little puffy breath out, sorry, like a drawing in and up, drawing in and up. So we're kind of smoothing. You feel a little bit of a scooping sensation through this lower belly. And also what we're doing is we're working very deeply now into the stabilizing muscles that are working right around the muscles that hold our organs into place. So quite a deep contraction here, and then a lifting up sensation through the lower belly. Ooh, just hold this a little bit longer, and then drop those toes onto the ground. Well done here, give it a pat, and then just lift your knee up and down, lift your knee up and down, like so. Beautiful. Take your foot right into, sorry, not your foot, your knee right into towards the chest here. A little pulse. Now push your heel up towards the ground. So take your hand with it and then drop it and then push the heel away. If your strap isn't too far away, I'll do this little maneuver with my foot here and grab it. So I can put my, you can do a little thing like this. So we can get a bit of mobility into the leg. And then maybe hold your extension, pressing out through the heel. Draw the toes down towards you. You might even be able to get hold of your toes. So we want to just create a bit more stretch for the inner thighs. And again, it really doesn't matter how, we just want to go to our limit, pause and pull back a little bit, and then go to the limit, and then pull back a little bit. So wherever you are, just working, softening, working, softening, working, and then holding. Beautiful. And then coming down and pressing the floor away as you come up. And we'll just do the same thing on the other side. So swiveling over to the other side, taking your left foot out this time. And interesting how as soon as I put my foot out, I'm like, wow, my thigh muscles are really feeling that. So we're going to take fingertips onto forehead, drop the head down. So we're rounding up a bit, inhaling to open and releasing. Inhaling, elbow back and releasing down. Inhaling, squeeze and get that nice upper back twist. And again, now from here, just unfurl those fingertips up and then kind of reach up and then pause and then reach up and then release it. Reach up again and then from there slide up and over. Give your head a bit of mobilization. So we're feeling like our hip is glued to the ground. The sitting bones are glued to the ground, but we've got this lovely stretch out through the waist, and especially if you've been rounded at your computer all day. Oh, the spine loves to do this, lateral stretch. Give it a bit of mobility. Wonderful. That's it. And then taking these top hands, these top fingers, and then stretching down onto the ground, onto fists or wrists. Wrists, good if you can. And then pointing toes, sweeping up with that left arm, lengthening into that wonderful full body stretch. And maybe taking the hands slightly behind you to get more into those chest muscles. I like to take my foot just slightly behind me too, so it's a bit of a back bend. Smooth, full, stretching breath. Ooh, and then slowly wind your way down and zigzag your feet again. Over to the side. This time we're working on our left glute, so we're squeezing it, rolling the hip forward, releasing. Squeeze to roll forward, release. So this is a really useful exercise to do if you're starting to get that jabbing pain just in the sacroiliac joint, which can sometimes go right down the leg. And women do tend to hold our tension and our emotions around this area. So if it suddenly flares up, just look at what's going on in your life at that time, and are you quite stressed? You know, is there stuff that is emotionally quite stressful for you? And you might find that there's a bit of a pattern there. So this can be something that relieves that. But to be honest, you just need to get rid of the stressful thing that's happening in your life. Not your husband, your kids, don't do that. But just try to look at the situation objectively. Now, top of the knee here, pressing into the ground. We're leaning forward over the bent knee and picking up our back foot like so. And then taking the palm of the hand and taking it behind the foot and then stretching the arm out and turning over the shoulder until we feel that stretch that comes right up the arm, right into the chest, and then also an upper back twist. Breathe in, and as you breathe in, take that breath right up the spine through the crown of the head, and then down again, feeding the inhalation into the exhalation, and the exhalation into the inhalation. Good. Imagine the string from the crown of your head has lifted you up as you come out of that. Roll the shoulder, and we'll slide down onto the ground for a hip little, I don't know what this is called, a hip switching on activity. There you go. So lie down like so, front knee at a 90-degree angle, back knee is sitting on top of your brick or your pillow, whatever you've got there. Just make sure that the back knee is about in line with your pubic bone. And then I'm on my little microphone here. Now, we want to internally rotate the hip. So you push your knee into your prop on the ground, and then you lift your toes up. And try to keep turning until you cannot lift your foot anymore. So give as much internal rotation as you can here. That's going to help you feel that scooping sensation through your lower belly. And then we want to do a little, stop yourself weighing and lift up and relax it. And then exhaling to lift and release, and exhaling to lift and release. You'll find that even as you release, there's still a little bit of a scooping sensation. It's like a little pulse here we're doing with the, imagine you've got the pipe of the urethra. We want that pipe to be pliable. Unfortunately, as we age, it becomes a lot more stiff. This is why estrogen is so needed. We need that estrogen to keep everything supple. We're just squeezing, lifting, releasing, squeezing, lifting, releasing. So obviously, pelvic floor training is a big, big part of keeping continence, but potentially using an estriol cream, a body identical cream around the pelvic floor if you're finding that you are starting to leak or your sphincter muscles are just not working quite the way they used to. And then dropping toes onto the ground, lifting the knee up, and just give your knee a little drawing back movement like so. And then knee in towards your chest. So we get a bit of a stretch through the inner thigh muscles right into the pelvic floor. And just kind of mobilize there, but I'm going to get you to roll the hip around. And then either hooking your belt around your foot or just using your hand. We're just going to kind of push the heel away, push the heel away, push the heel away. Good. And then you're taking your hand onto your foot or your ankle or using your belt. And shoulders are nice and relaxed, but we're just pushing through the heel. That's the way. Very nice. And then from here, just rolling onto your backs. So I've got my handy blanket here, so I'm just going to put that underneath the ridge of my head. And let's take our brick, or if you've got your pillow, that will do. We're just going to put the brick or whatever you've got between your ankles. So above your ankles, so just above your ankles, between your legs, like so. Now toes down towards you, heels away from you. Press the back of your pelvis into the ground for a moment, so you feel the stretch on the back of your legs, and then relax, and then press the pelvis down, and then relax. So you're pushing your bum back. If we were standing against the wall, it would be that feeling of pushing your tail through the wall. Good. And then I'm going to get you just do some little circles. So we're using very much the lower part of our belly here to stabilize. Little circles, one direction, and then the other. Little circles. Keep pushing out through the heels. Toes towards you. Very nice. And then take your prop and place it between your knees. So we squeeze those knees in. And as you squeeze the knees in, I want you to feel as if you're gathering up your pelvic floor muscles and lifting up slightly. And then release the pressure. So you squeeze in and lift, and then release. Squeeze in with a brick. Feel your pelvic floor muscles kind of sort of hugging inwards, and then see if you can draw upwards, almost towards your tummy and up underneath the rib cage, and then release and have a little bit less pressure. Make sure your feet are flexed, they're not just kind of flopping all over the place. You're squeezing and drawing up, and then releasing. Squeezing and drawing up, and then releasing. And one more, squeezing and drawing up, and then releasing. Take the brick away, have your hands on the outside of your legs, and then press outwards with your knees into your hands. Make sure that you don't flare your ribs so that you keep nice and secure through your corsetry. Shoulders are away from ears. You'll feel it in your arms. And little puffy breaths out. Just once again, switching on the outer thigh muscles, stabilizing muscles. Beautiful. And then draw your toes in, hands on top of the knees, and just do some big circles to release again, right into the groin. One direction and then the other. Wonderful. Take your feet down on the ground for a moment. So I'm just going to get you to exaggerate that hugging inwards and lifting up movement. So we always, 100% of the time, if we're going to be using our core muscles, rather than just squeezing everything in and letting that pressure go straight down on the pelvic floor, we want to make sure that we exhale, draw the pelvic floor muscles in, and then activate all of our corsetry muscles. So it's not like you're bracing yourself to be punched. It's not that. It is instead a hugging in and a lifting up, and then a releasing down. And we very consciously relax those pelvic floor muscles. So you go from feeling like you could nearly do a wee, that relaxed, to drawing, like you're stopping yourself weeing and farting at the same time, drawing in, zipping up, and supporting your spine, and then releasing down. So exhaling, and inhaling to relax. Exhaling, and inhaling to relax. So if we were picking up something heavy, I know you're all responding, we would do this. Exhaling, drawing up, picking something up that's heavy, and then relaxing the pelvic floor once we have stopped stressing the pelvic floor. So once we've picked that thing up and we've put it down, then we can relax the pelvic floor. If we're picking up a heavy table, we keep puffing up while we move the table, and then as soon as we put the table down, we relax everything. So from here, we're going to do the same thing. I'll just turn around here so I don't crash my microphone. But we're going to push through the heels, and I'm going to get you to push through the heels and then lift your pelvis up. So we're exhaling as we come up, and we're drawing up through the pelvic floor muscles, and then we're releasing as we come down. So we want our bum muscles to work as well. Pushing the floor away, slowly rolling up your spine, and then rolling back down again. So we're not coming to a full bridge. We're not going up as high as we can. We're coming to a diagonal angle. So bum muscles are switched on, and then coming back down. Exhaling, rolling up, stabilizing, pelvic floor is working, and then coming down. Good. One more of those. Push the floor away, rolling up, and then releasing back down again. Now, take your feet a little bit wider. So if you're on your mat, your feet will be mat width apart. I'm just going to turn around here so you can kind of see me on a, I'll turn this way diagonal. Don't need my belt now, so I'll put it there. Okay, so I'm here. Feet a bit wider than normal. Same action. Pushing through the heels. So the toes are pretty light, pushing through the heels. As we come up on that exhale, we start to squeeze the knees and the thighs together. 1, 2, 3. Pulse them, release them, and then roll back down and let your bottom be relaxed, but let your pelvic floor be relaxed. So we exhale, we're gathering, we're lifting, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, and relaxing everything down. We're exhaling to gather up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, and rolling back down, release. And gathering up and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees, and releasing back down. So breathing out through your mouth, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the knees. Breathe in and relax. And slow it down. Relaxing down. Last one. Drawing up, squeeze, 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 squeeze the knees, and relax back down. Take the feet like so. So we're back into that tabletop position. If we were on all fours, we'd be in tabletop core circuitry will be switched on. So actually do that for a moment. When we come up into our hands and knees, I want you to feel your core is switched on as much as it is right now, yeah? So this is what we don't want to be all flopping all over the place when we're in tabletop. We want to be like so. So you take your hands down, oh, actually we're going to put them here, on top of your knees, on your thighs here. Keep your toes drawn back. Now just being like this, hopefully you can feel all of this switched on. There's still a little gap through your lower back, so we're not flattening. We're not kind of, like I said before, bracing ourselves as if we're going to be punched. We are in a little bit of a neutral spine with a tiny bit of a gap here. All right, so hands on in position. Now, on the exhale, you gather the pelvic floor, you zip up, you get your core circuitry muscles all working. At the same time, we're going to start to push the thighs into the hands and the hands into the thighs to increase the gathering and the lifting and to increase the activation of our core. So keep breathing out. Lifting, lifting. If you feel your pelvic floor just going, oh, there's nothing there, I want you to ease off this, okay? So we do not want to be putting pressure here if we're not containing that pressure by the lift through those pelvic floor muscles. Very good. Give yourself a little massage around your sacrum, one direction and then the other. And just release the lower back for a moment. So have your feet wide again on the mat. So wide as the mat, like that. Arms out to the side. Drop both knees to one side. So our feet are not close. Our feet are wide away from each other. Top knee pressing down towards the ground. And quite nice to look over the opposite shoulder. So we're creating that, it's quite a weird twist. It's not straight into your spine. It's actually more up your legs and into your hips. And then up and over to the other side. So feet wide as this. Great. Come back. I will just get you to do a little back bend here just to set our back again. So press your feet into the ground. Slide up your spine. I'm going to get rid of my blanket. Slide up your spine towards your shoulders. Draw your shoulders underneath you a little bit more. Draw your elbows towards each other, either having the palms of the hands pressing down into the ground, or if you can easily interlace your hands, try to do that, and then press your hands and your forearms into the ground. And then imagine your knees are just sliding away from you towards the wall opposite. And you want to really breathe, just like camel pose, as if we're pulling the breath up and over to our shoulders, up through the heart and over to the shoulders. And then take the hands apart, and as we come down, do it really slowly, and imagine you're kind of pulling the vertebrae away from each other as you come down, very slowly, with getting lots of space between the vertebrae. And then just let your pelvis soften. In fact, I'm going to just get you to take your feet together and let your knees drop out to the side for a moment. And I want you to soften. So we've done a fair bit of squeezing. I want you just now to do the opposite and take the breath into this area. So it's that 360 breathing. Imagine you have a big beach ball down here and you're breathing into the pelvic floor, lower belly, the hips, the back. Maybe even taking your hands and just kind of rubbing into those hip flexors here. Release them a little bit. Good. Now take the knees up towards your chest. Hug yourself into a little ball. And then rock and roll up your spine. So you massage the spine. And we massage all the nerves that go into the spine. So a great way to wake yourself up. And then cross your ankles. And then come up and over onto all fours. And let's just see if we can remember what it was like to go into that tabletop. So, all my bits and pieces out of the way. Right, so come into your tabletop and let's see if we can create that same activation through the core. So that includes the back muscles and the tummy muscles are sucking up. So tuck up in so you can see we're working everything here. Good. Now drop yourself back so you're coming into a bit of an extended child, not a full extended child. And as we exhale, gathering up the pelvic floor and drawing your torso forward, weight over your wrists, arms are strong. Dropping back again, we breathe in, so the pelvic floor is receiving the breath, we're relaxing the pelvic floor muscles, and then we breathe out, pause, strong, activated, core activated, arms receiving that weight, strong, right up into the shoulders as well. Pausing and then dropping back again. Breathing in and breathing out. Pause. Good. Breathing in. Now this time, breathe out. Pause. See if you can do a little dip, like so, as we inhale, and then exhale to push the floor away. Dropping back again. So breathing in here, breathing out. Breathing in for a little dip. Push the floor away, exhaling, dropping back. So doing a few more of those, and it really doesn't matter if you hardly do any dip or if you come all the way down. I'm much more concerned about you keeping everything straight here, not kind of flopping all over the place. Keeping your core central muscles switched on, keeping your pelvic floor muscles switched on until you come back down and release. Like so. And next time you come forward, we're just going to drop down and then slide onto your belly. Elbows staying close, hands just underneath the shoulders, tops of the feet onto the ground. So we want to push your toes, the top of your feet and your toes into the ground. Breathe in deeply, and as you breathe in, let your chest rise up and then release back down again. Breathe in, let your chest rise up and then relax back down. So we deflate as we come down, but we kind of inflate to lift up. Good, and then inflating and down. The next time you come up, just slide those forearms forward and then take your forearms, press them into your mat, and then kind of pull your forearms back so it feels as if your chest is being pulled forward as your shoulders are being pulled back. Tuck your chin in, so imagine that mother cat has picked you up by the scruff of the neck. So you create that nice long length through the back of the neck here, cervical spine. Then inch your hands a bit wider and drop one shoulder down and look over your other shoulder. So we get a real twist and stretch through the front of the chest. And then other way. Oh, isn't it a nice twisty stretch? Exhaling and exhaling. Good. Now come down, roll your shoulders back. So we just want to activate the upper back muscles, good for our posture. So roll the shoulders back, pull your fingertips down towards your toes. And then as you inhale, we lift the chest up and then try and take your toes off the ground too. And then pull your toes back and pull your fingertips back and then tuck your chin. Tuck your chin, round the head, rocketing forward. Keep breathing here. See what's going on with your back. Is your bum working? And then drop it down. Good. Give your pelvis a little shake. Let's just make sure those bum muscles are working. So hands on buttocks. Now just squeeze your right buttock into your right hand and then release it. And then squeeze your left buttock into your left hand and release it. So squeeze one and then the other. And just noticing, are they both squeezing evenly? Are you able to get an activation evenly through both butt cheeks? Are you able to squeeze them at all? Is there any movement there? Or can you only feel the movement through the front of your legs into those quads? So it's just all interesting. It's all just like, how fascinating. Yes, it's all working, or no, my right bum isn't working at all, or neither of them seem to be getting any action. So do it on an exhale, little puffy exhales out. It just seems to help with those neural pathways if we need to wake up butt muscles. Now see if you can do it a bit more so that your knees come off the ground and then your toes come off the ground. You might have to draw your tummy back into your spine just to protect your lower back. And then see if you can do it a little bit faster. So you're still going squeeze, 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 but it's kind of like you're swimming. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Okay, if it's okay on your back, you might even take your arms out to the side. Now that feels okay. You might even take your arms forward, chin still tucking back. So we are kind of imagining you're kicking in a swimming pool. You've got your kicker board here, holding on to kick, 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 kick. Good, and then toes in, heels out. We want lots of space across here. Toes in, heels out. Rock your hips from side to side. Tuck your chin in. Relax your head, relax your neck. Relax your pelvis, relax your bum, Now, I'm going to get you to breathe in, and then as you breathe out, we're just going to lift up again through the pelvic floor muscles. So the front of the pelvic floor. Try not to let your bottom squeeze. Just the feeling as if you're stopping yourself weeing and then relaxing. Stopping yourself weeing and then relaxing. Just a few of those, and you'll probably feel your tummy button lifting off the ground slightly, which is great. It's just that when we're on the ground, sometimes it's a bit easier to feel this than when we're sitting or standing. So doing a few of those. Beautiful. And then take the hands underneath the shoulders. Draw yourself back into child pose. You can stretch those bum muscles. So knees are bent. If you need to slide a blanket between your knees and your thighs, please do so. Or a blanket underneath your shins here so that your feet don't get squashed. So just use your props in order to feel comfortable in this position. So sitting bones might be lifted. If you are feeling heavy through the pelvic floor with prolapse, we just keep our sitting bones slightly lifted here. Arms out in front, shoulders rolling away from your ears. So stretch, stretch, stretch. Such a delicious stretch. And then see if you can inch yourself forward. I sometimes fold my forearms here so there's not so much pressure on the shoulders. So if that feels a bit pressurized on your shoulders, fold your forearms. Now drape your chest down towards the ground. So tail is up towards the ceiling and chest is draping towards the ground. Very good. That's it. And then slowly roll yourself up and coming into camel pose just to create that space again through the vertebra. So tucking your toes underneath, heels are up, roll one shoulder then the other shoulder and take the heels of your hands onto the back of the pelvis like so. And then imagine you have a string from your pubic bone and your heart center and they are being winched up towards the ceiling. There's a lot of winching going on. So winching now through that front line and at the same time press your knees down into the ground. Elbows come towards each other, pressing down through the knees, sliding those strings up towards the ceiling so we create a bit of space again through the vertebra. Take that sippy breath up through the heart center, out through to your shoulders. Good. Now, crown of the head is being pulled up towards the ceiling. So now you've got the string at the crown of the head. It's being winched up towards the ceiling. So chin comes in, base of the ribcage drops, and just come down into a kneeling position like so, and take your hands into your heart center like that. Shoulders away from ears, elbows out to the side like so. Now, as we come up with a breath in, I want you to squeeze your bottom muscles. So you kind of glide up through your glutes. So breathing in, we're gliding, elbows nice and wide, and then releasing down. So breathing, gliding, and releasing down. Good. Take the hands up towards the ceiling, lengthening up, and then lengthening down. And lengthening up. And take the hands behind you and stretching all the way out into that extended child pose like so. Now come up onto hands and knees, lift your tail, and then tuck your tail. And then lift your tail and tuck your tail. And then from the tuck, roll your hips around. Imagine you're doing a slow-mo swirl with your tail. So big circles, one direction, and then the other. Nice big circles here, massaging circles. Beautiful. Now, we're just going to hold it here for a moment. Take your fists onto the ground like a gorilla. Shoulders away from ears. Keep your toes tucked. Exhale, gather in through the pelvic floor. Zip right up towards your tummy button. Chin is tucked in. Push the floor away with your fists and see if you can suck your knees just even 0.5 millimeter, not even any space, but it feels like your knees are just coming a tiny bit off the mat. Holding and then releasing. Hands shaped, shaking hands, wide hands like a frog. Keep those toes tucked. Imagine someone's got your tail and they're pulling your tail back and up towards the ceiling, stretching the spine again. So we create lots of space between the vertebrae. Keep your knees bent for a moment. Keep up on your toes. Roll your shoulders away from your ears. See if you can imagine your tail is being pulled back and up even more. So your sitting bones are spreading, creating a bit more space. The vertebrae is pulled away from each other as they possibly can be. And then start to push your heels one at a time down towards the ground. Do a little dance over your feet and massage across one knee and then the other, bending. Take your feet into the middle of the mat. Press down through your left heel, stick your right foot up behind you, give your ankle a bit of a roll, deep stretch into your left calf, swap feet, deep stretch into your right calf, rolling those ankles. Beautiful. Bending and then walking your feet forward and then just hanging yourself into a forward fold. Knees nice and bent and holding onto your elbows and creating lots of stretch through your cervical spine, through the neck, by the weight of your head. And just swishing, from side to side, like that. Swish, 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 swish. Now, let everything flop. Push the floor away and slowly, slowly, slowly roll up. So we're creating that lovely length through the spine. Take the hands up towards the ceiling. Like so. Grabbing hold of one wrist and lengthening up and over. Good. And then up and over to the other side. Beautiful. Coming up and down. Drop the head and roll those shoulders. Roll the shoulders, unwinding everything again. And the other way, rolling the shoulders and rolling the shoulders. Fantastic. I'm going to get you just to stay here on your mat with your feet about this wide, so about 1 meter wide. Swivel both feet over to the left, so front toes are directly facing left, back toes turned in a little bit. Keep your legs straight. Arms nice and lengthened out. Now polishing the table, so stretching your hands forward. Let your back hip roll around like that, like a train wheel. Drop the hand wherever it lands and stretch those top fingers up towards the ceiling. So we're creating a lovely twist through the back, but we've got a release through the hip. We're not kind of trying to pull the hip back. Good. So drawing that shoulder back, arms up towards the ceiling, let your head go, and then just give that top arm a big swirl, a big massaging swirl. Beautiful. Taking those arms all the way up and over towards your ear, so we create a length through the side of the body, and then all the way down like so, and just let your head drop. Smooth breath. Good. Bending into that front knee, push the floor away, so roll yourself up, swivel to the other side. Like so, arms out, polishing the table, roll that back hip forward, drop the hand wherever it lands, top arm sitting right above the bottom arm, and then give yourself a bit of mobility through the chest. Have a little play with giving yourself a bit more of an unwinding twist through your back. And then take that top arm and go swish, and swish, and swish, and swish. And then up and over, stretch the side of the body, leave your head where it is, and then all the way back. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. Bending down over that front foot, stepping yourself back into downward facing dog. Smooth breath in, sighing breath out. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. One more deep breath out. Coming down onto your knees again. This time sliding yourself into child pose with your knees together. So if you need to use a prop in front of you or a prop underneath your bottom, please get whatever you need now. I'm going to get my bolster here. If you don't have a prop and you can put your forehead straight to the ground, then that's wonderful. But you might need a prop here. So we're on it, whatever you've got, we're looking to have our belly kind of folded onto our thighs. So that's what we're looking to do. If it's comfortable to have something underneath your bottom and your calves, please do that. And if you can get your forehead straight onto the ground, try taking your hands down beside you, so palms up, shoulders totally relaxed, and getting a lovely spread across the lower back and right across the spine, right across the shoulders. So spending 5 breaths, feeling your belly pressing against your thighs. If you're supported by a bolster, if it's not comfortable for you to come straight down, then just turning your head to one side, but still let your shoulders be really relaxed, maybe down like that or like this. Now, if you have got your forehead on the ground, what's quite nice is to kind of push your eyebrows down towards your eyes. You kind of push your forehead into the ground as if you're smoothing out any wrinkles in your forehead and stretching the skin downwards. So you get this Frankenstein kind of eyebrows. Imagining the front of your head has opened up and thoughts are pouring out, emptying your mind. Beautiful. Now, hands under shoulders, slowly push yourself up and just wind yourself over to your bit of wall or your couch. So we'll come close. If you're against the wall, take your hip against the wall like so, and then roll yourself down onto the ground and your legs up the wall. And if you have a pillow, slide it underneath your pelvis. So the whole of your pelvis is propped. And starting off, if you have got enough space on your wall or on your couch, try taking your knees apart. So don't worry if you haven't. You can just do that kind of thing. But if you have got enough space on your wall, try taking your feet apart so you stretch deeply through those inner thighs. By taking the pelvis up on a bolster or a pillow, you're just allowing all those pelvic organs to drop away from the pelvic floor. Getting quite a nice stretch through the upper back. Palms up, back of the hands into the ground. Closing the eyes. Just spend about 5 breaths with your legs like so, and then just slowly draw your legs up the wall like that. Good. So we're closing the eyes and focusing on the exhalation. Keep breathing. Long, smooth breaths. Allowing that breath to become silk-like now. Refined and slow and stretched. And just noticing the weight of your legs dropping down into your pelvis, so that it feels as if the back of the pelvis is starting to melt, starting to spread into your prop. You can feel the weight of the bones. And just noticing how the bones protect your pelvic organs. And feel this stretching into your lower back, this passive stretch into your lower back. And tuning into the rise and the fall of your belly. As your focus is on the pelvic area and into your lower belly and into your back. And see if you can just deepen the breath a little bit. So make it a slightly deeper breath. In, pause, and then feeding that exhalation from the inhalation and back again. So you're kind of merging the top and the bottom of each breath. And then feel as if you're feeding your breath down from the heart center into your pelvic bowl and then back up from the pelvic bowl to your heart center. So we're going back into that bicycle chain kind of feeling, but this time we're just going up and down from the heart, down around the pelvic organs and massaging back up again. So that it feels as if each breath is just massaging, toning, and nourishing and lifting those organs. And then imagining that it is this heart energy, and you can give it maybe a green light, like the emerald shimmer of the heart chakra. And you can feel that light just pouring down and around the pelvic organs. Feeling this energy of love surrounding and nurturing the pelvic organs and all of the structures down in this pelvic bowl. Bathing everything. Feeling this powerful protection from the bones and the muscles in the lower body. And imagining that this whole area is amplifying the energy that you're sending down from the heart. And as you sort of bathe these pelvic organs with your breath and your focus, feeling that they are soaked in this loving light, this emerald light from the heart, mentally ask these organs, this area of your body, what do you want me to know? And then taking your focus a little bit deeper down into the pelvic floor, and again, sending that positive attention and an acknowledgement of a lifetime of service. Just asking these muscles, what do you need me to know? And in this moment, you're not trying to fix or change or figure anything out. You're just listening with a real sense of reverence and love and kindness. What do you want me to know? And I want you to focus a little bit more on your inhalation. And as you inhale, imagine that you're spreading that energy from your pelvis, that energy of love and compassion all around the whole of your body. So you can feel every cell of your body starting to light up just underneath the skin surface, feeling that awareness of the whole of your body, both inside and outside. And just saying mentally to the whole of your body, I want to know you more. And I want to love you more. And I'm ready to listen. I'm doing my best to listen. It's okay if it takes time. Body, you are a masterpiece. I know you love me and you are always trying to protect me. And I know that you know how to heal. Is there anything you need me to know right now? And just feeling into and listening deeply to your instrument of life. This cloak that you're wearing through this lifetime, just imagining that light, that shimmering light is flowing through you. Just noticing any messages. Just listening with reverence to this cloak, this body of yours, the trillions and trillions of cells, the condensed energy that makes up your physicality. And just mentally saying to this body of yours, flowing with that message of thanks around your body, gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And go to the areas that you don't normally thank, that you normally say other things to, even if not out loud in your thoughts. I want you to go to those areas and I want you to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just imagine in this moment that you are hugging that little girl inside of you. And taking a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, again, thank you. And starting to focus on the feeling of your breath flowing in and out of your body. Starting to wake up to all the sounds around you, both inside the room and outside. See if you can expand your hearing. And that wonderful sensation of the breath flowing deeply into your lungs and spreading out through the body. Starting to take your awareness into fingers and toes and maybe giving them a little wriggle. Starting to feel the air against your exposed skin. Become very aware of where you are in time and space, where you are in the room. And very slowly, very fluidly, start to move. So start to slide your legs down the wall or off the couch, or if you're on the ground, just bending the knees. Very slowly roll to one side. Maybe give yourself a little bit of movement. And then press the floor away and come slowly to sit. And you might need to just give yourself a little twist from side to side as you come and sit. Maybe imagining you are kind of seaweed and you're just kind of flowing and stretching and mobilizing. And then eventually come to a place where your spine feels tall, as if you are a puppet being lengthened upwards by strings, but the body is just dropping off those strings, nice and relaxed through your shoulders and through your jaw. And I think tonight we're going to finish the practice with some Oms, so keeping that low vibrational sound flowing through the body. So if you take your hands into that heart center, maybe even imagining that beautiful emerald glowing light of the heart chakra. And as you exhale with your Om, or maybe you just want to listen to me, that's fine. Just imagine that the low vibrational sound is just coming through you, almost like a fountain or a waterfall, just pouring down through the body. So let's breathe in, we'll do through this. Breathe in together, up through the spine. Shanti, 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 Hare Om. And you can just take your thumbs up to your forehead. Namaste.